What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're going to be checking out the Grim Workshop monthly subscription for March of 2025. This subscription costs $20 a month, and for that they're going to send you USA-made bushcraft, survival, and EDC type gear in the form factor of a credit card, dog tag, or medallion. As always, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description where you can find more information about the subscription if you're interested in checking it out. I also have a playlist dedicated to Grim Workshop that goes back a few years at this point, so if you're curious what's come in some of those previous months, definitely check that out as well. With that said, let's dive into March. We'll start with our tip cards as usual. So for our first tip card, we get number 112. This is on creating a DIY fishing spear or jig. Not a lot in terms of written instructions, as you can see, but our illustration on the front is very clear and easy to read, and you don't need a whole lot for this project. Some sort of blade, some cordage, and a stick that you can find outside. So super simple project to take on if you've never made one before, and they value these cards at $1.85. Now, in addition to that, we always get 2 tip cards, so our second tip card this month is number 113. 113 focuses on building a suspended A-frame shelter. Now, in the illustration as well as the instructions, it's making the assumption that you have some cordage as well as a large rain poncho or tarp. And so if that's not the case, you can replace the cordage with branches, which it does say in the written portion. It just doesn't have an illustration there. And so you're going to want a sturdy wooden branch for the top of that A-frame. And then it doesn't really mention it, but you can also make some stakes out of smaller branches to pin the corners if you don't have the cordage. Now, I personally think it's much more likely that you have cordage and not a tarp or poncho. And if that's the case, you can do it with all branches. And so a sturdy wooden branch at the top, you can use some fuller branches that still have their leaves and offshoot branches, or even larger leaves and things like that to make the siding, anything to protect you from the elements. So it doesn't really go into that in the card, but definitely something that uses the same concept. Obviously, without cordage, you're going to have to find kind of like a Y-wing that you can prop that branch through on 2 different spots where it can reach both of them, but still a really simple project to take on. And once again, valued at $1.85. Now, we do get 2 tool cards this month as well, a dog tag style and full-size credit card version. So we'll start with the smaller of the 2, which is going to be our hook and lure dog tag. And as you can see, this has 3 hooks, 3 lures. The hooks are nested inside the lures, so it keeps it super compact. Now, we do get a lot of hooks and lures in these. I kind of like this smaller form factor though, so I do think this is one of the better ones we've received. And they're valuing these at $9.50. Obviously super minimal. It's not going to get you a ton of them, but I think if you know you're going to need them, you'll go out with some real hooks and lures. And so this is just kind of that backup if you're out hiking and maybe for whatever reason want to do some quick fishing or need to do some quick fishing, you have what you need here. Obviously, you can pair that with some like paracord, use some of those inner strands as line, or even better yet, carry some extra line with like their lure card or their line card. And so you have a couple of different options there. Now, this does have the adhesive backing here, and so you can re-stick these after you use them. Of course, if it's been in murky water or has fish guts all over it, I would clean them, because obviously if that gets dirty, it's going to lose some of its stickiness, but the retention backing works very well, especially in comparison to some other brands making similar style cards. They'll shred, they'll melt, and on those other cards, and they lose their stickiness pretty quick, or they're overly sticky where your tools are all sticky and they still have pieces of the backing stuck to them, which is annoying. And so I actually think they're really good. Obviously, you just want to take care of those. Now, you do have this adhesive backing as well. You can remove this white portion and stick this to your Altoid kit, your waterproof Pelican, or whatever you want really, any sort of kit if you want to mount it. Now, you have the hole here so you can thread it on just like you would dog tags, and they do come with the necklace style ball chain as well as a keychain style ball chain and our silencer. So each of these come with a silencer, but if you have multiple, the idea is that you would put multiple within one silencer, 2 to 3. I personally like to put 2 back to back so the fronts are facing outwards no matter which way you're looking at it in between those silencers. And the reason for that is if you put 3, it technically does fit, but it takes a while to get them in and out of that silencer. It's a tight fit. And if you only have 2 and they're back to back, those fronts are both exposed at all times, so you can remove the tools without ever removing the silencer, just making it a whole lot easier. Now again, these are valued at $9.50. We do get a lot of hooks and lures, but I do like this small form factor, as I mentioned. Now, up next we get a credit card size tool, and this is our key card. valued at $19.95. Now, we've definitely gotten lockpick style credit card tools before. I don't think this is an exact duplicate. I haven't pulled it out, but you can see we get multiple different rakes and picks. And so I believe the rakes and picks might be a little bit different than the previous ones that we've seen, like from the Kickstarter. I may be mistaken, but didn't pull them out to do that comparison. But just off memory, it looks like they're maybe a little bit different. But again, you get multiple different rakes and picks, and some of them are both rakes and picks, multiple different turners over here. So if you're using this pick and you still have a turner, or if you're using this rake, you still have this turner. They're obviously slightly different in size. We also have this one kind of multi-tool on the end that has a handcuff key, saw, file, and a shim for the combination style locks. And so you have a few different things. You can also use that obviously for your handcuffs. And so a lot of different options. And these do work really, really well. It has the same retention backing that we saw on that dog tag style tool. And like I said, these hold up a whole lot better. I've done a video on the full size credit card locking tool, and the competitive adhesive backing was just all over the lock picks. These ones also work a little bit better. Now, the edges are still a little bit sharp. It's not gonna be as comfortable as like a vacuum tubed lock pick or anything like that, but they definitely work very, very well. And again, you can stick them right back on there, reuse them. I've done that plenty of times. I've actually practiced a decent bit with the Grimm Workshop lock picking tools, and so can vouch for these ones. Now, alternatively, in one of the monthly videos, I tried out the lock picks that came on one of the dog tag style tools, and for those, I just didn't have great success. They were too small, couldn't get to the last pin on the lock that I was using. It was a little bit too short. And then the turner and the pick themselves were so close together that I couldn't really accurately turn while also picking. It was just my fingers were in the way of each other, and it didn't work out all that well. But the credit card one works significantly better, so it can definitely vouch for these. Now, that's a value of $19.95. That brings our total value for this month up to about $33, which is pretty typical. I think most months we'll see $33 to $35, and again, we're paying $20, so decent in the way of value. December's are usually a little bit higher, but the rest of the year, I think this one's right in line, and I think pretty good tools and cards this time around. They do offer a discount code for buy one, get one free micro tools, but that is only open to active members from their own account, so I'm not going to bother with that one here. But if you are subscribed, obviously make sure to check the content list for that, because you can take advantage of that during the month that it's issued. With that being said, let me know what you think of this month's subscription down in the comments below. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, consider checking out some of my other videos, liking, commenting, subscribing. All help the channel out a ton, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.